sometimes you listen to yourself talk and you can hear a noticeable difference between how you sound and how maybe native speakers sound or the people around you, especially for instance if you're living in North America. And you're like, what is actually the difference? And maybe you even talk to your friends or you talk to people close to you, say, hey, like why do I sound different? Or does that sound weird to you? And they may even tell you, yes, that does sound a little bit different. But then you ask them why, and they're like, I don't know. I can't help you. Well, today we're going to be talking about some of those reasons why, when you speak, maybe you aren't quite getting the sound that you're looking for when you speak in American English. Good morning, guys. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to your American English pronunciation review show, which is the Schwa Mill. We are here Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, right around 7 a.m. New York, to make sure that you can get your feedback in. And we also have a free group on Telegram that you can see in the video description if you would like to send in an audio to get some feedback from me on what you're doing in your own speech. It's free. I select files from there. It would be great to see you there as well. And to guide you in this journey of pronunciation, there's me. Again, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. That is one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English pronunciation, including placement, pitch, breath, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to give more space to your vowel sounds. All right, so I have 2 more files for you guys today that we'll be taking a look at. And we'll be talking about what can we do to help them sound more natural in American English. Let's take a listen to our first file for today. Thank you to everyone who's been sending files. Let's see how we're starting.
That are happening simultaneously and seem contradictory.
Okay, thank you again for sending the file. Let's play that one more time. Now we got some feedback for you.
That are happening simultaneously and seem contradictory.
Okay. There's one thing I would like to highlight with this file. We've heard audios from you before. I think all those things that we've mentioned in the past are valid still. So I would continue to be exploring things like extending breath, giving more space to your vowels. It constantly sounds a bit heavy, and exploring pitch contrast. But the thing I want to really highlight today is stress patterns. There's 2 words I want to specifically take a look at. There's the word simultaneously, which you're going to test my spelling on. Oh my gosh. Always a fun word to spell. Simultaneously, and then also contradictory. And this is going to be especially important for my people, for all my friends out here speaking Indian languages and dialects and things like that, especially, but not just. There's a tendency to have some different stress patterns that we want to be really mindful of, because coming into American English, potentially it will cause people to take a moment to understand what you're saying. Worst case scenario, people won't even understand what you're saying, even though you're using the right word. And so this comes to, where do you put the stress in words? And so for these 2 words, what I'm hearing is a lot of first syllable stresses, when in reality, when you hear native speakers say them, the stress is going to fall somewhere else. So for instance, in our first word here, the stress will be simultaneously. It's like simultaneously. And then the second word, contradictory. So stress on the 3rd syllable, simultane, contradict. So those are where you're going to want to put your stresses. So just some other common words that we want to be mindful of, where it's common for people to change pronunciation or change the stress on, that I will also put up here. So I'll just say each of these words twice, and just make sure you're stressing the right syllable. And maybe you are, okay? But for people who aren't, just something to be mindful of. So our first word, probably the weirdest word in English from a spelling perspective, comfortable. Comfortable. Notice it's not comfortable, it's comfortable. I know that the spelling does not capture the actual pronunciation of that, so do be careful. Comfortable. Vegetable. Vegetable. So notice the stress on the first syllable. Notice the second syllable is not even pronounced at all. Vegetable. Chocolate. Chocolate. Stress first syllable. Second syllable, again, not pronounced at all. It's just 2 syllables. Chocolate. Chocolate. Wednesday. Wednesday. Again, stress first syllable. Second syllable, again, not pronounced. It's not Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Adjective. Stress the first syllable. You're not stressing the second syllable, right? So it's not adjective. It's adjective. Adjective. Advantage. Advantage, stress van. So it's not advantage, it's advantage. Advantage. And the last word, tendency. Tendency. Again, stressing the first syllable. Okay, so that's going to be my big point of highlight. All those other things I mentioned before, again, breath, pitch, weakening consonant sounds, those things all still apply. I'm still hearing a lot of that tension in this audio file, but the big thing for now to target is also those stress words and where you're putting the syllable stress. Play audio file one more time.
Snooky and Boomer, who are two.
Sorry, that's our next one. Play the original one.
That are happening simultaneously and seem contradictory.
Thank you for that audio file. Greatly appreciated. Before we take a look at our second file for today, I just want to highlight a feature that we have on the channel, which is our channel memberships. What exactly does it mean if you press join? Because sometimes you see channels and they have join and you're just like, oh, you just see early access to videos. Like, okay, it's not that big a deal, right? What our channel members get to do is they get to watch all of our group coaching classes. We have a lot of them. I'm coaching very often throughout the day. And if you're a channel member, you get to see all of those. So we're basically coaching. For instance, for today, I have a session from 9 to 9:30, New York. So that's in about more or less 2 hours. 10 to 10:40, 11 to 11:30, and then 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. That schedule repeats on Wednesday. There's also some classes on Friday and a very full day on Mondays as well. You get to watch all of those classes, and you also get to watch all the previous classes. So if you're someone that takes your pronunciation seriously, but maybe you're not in a position to actually attend my actual classes, well, this is how you can get the same information at a very steep discount. You also get to interact with us in the chat and things like that. So if that sounds like something of interest to you, I do encourage you to check out the channel memberships, because that's the whole goal. If you find these streams helpful and you want to level up a little bit more, that could be the way to do it. All right, let's take a listen to our second and final file.
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school, took my cookbook.
Okay, I'll play that one more time.
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school, took my cookbook.
Okay, and as always, thank you for sending the audio files. So one of the things I'm noticing with this one, so I think we're doing some vowel practice, right? So like we're comparing sounds and sounds. So we have like the sound, like in book, cookbook, snooky, things like that. And then we also have our sound. So words like school, cool, and things like that. So let's just begin by looking at the vowel comparison. See if there's any place where I'm hearing any confusion between those two vowel sounds.
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school, took my cookbook.
Okay, overall, the vowels are solid. I can hear the difference between the sound and the sound, so I'm not worried about those. The one thing I would say is that I think you have some opportunities to add a little bit more breath. So like for like cookbook, we're really chopping those vowels, which on the one hand you can certainly do because you have those held K sounds. Like cook can become like cook, book can become like book, So it's not necessarily a problem. I would be open to you putting a little bit more breath through that, but it's not mandatory. Besides that, I'm going to play the audio file again.
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school, took my cookbook.
Yeah, because I think lengthening the vowel, especially on book, because you're almost getting to like buck versus book. So you have to, I think lengthening the vowel would have helped a little bit there, but not a problem. It's still very understandable. I think if we're taking this example sentence and we're like, okay, I want this to not only be an exercise in pronunciation, I also want to make this sound as natural as possible, we're probably going to need to do things like, play around with pacing a little bit or play around with pitch ranges and things because it does sound a little bit stiff.
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school.
We start to make things a little bit more dynamic, like too cool for school. Now we're starting to add some pitch contrast. The first half of this is just very, very flat, right?
Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school.
Like Snooky and Boomer, who are Snooky and Boomer, who are. So what's happening is you have two thought groups. So you have Snooky and Boomer, the names, and And then you have the who are too cool for school. That's your next thought group, based on what I'm hearing. But the problem is that as you're gliding from one thought group to the next, you're staying at more or less the same pitch level, which is causing things to sound pretty flat. And so if you want to avoid that, you want to try to add some pitch contrast, like maybe going down sooner. It's like Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school, like Snooky and Boomer, who are too cool for school. So that's with a faster drop on the who are. And I think that would, for instance, help that to sound a lot more natural. But from a vowel exercise perspective, I think this sounds okay. So again, for people practicing that sound versus that sound, like pull versus pool, or like took versus like tooth, and things like that. This is an example of something you could be practicing with. All right. Thanks to all of our friends who sent audio files. And again, if you have any interest in having your own pronunciation looked at for feedback, we have a free Telegram group that you can see in the video description. Once again, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. It's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English: fluent placement, pitch, breath. Trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to strengthen your vowel sounds. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all later. Hope you guys have a good day, have a good night, and a good